Good morning, everybody, and good morning to all of you on Facebook who are joining us virtually. We're just going to run through our usual overview of 1 Million Cups real quick. But first, thank you to Startup Portal for hosting us again today here in Westminster. Thank you to Furnace Hills Coffee for providing our free coffee, and to GE Bird Baking Company for the pastries. For Furnace Hills, if you're virtual, you can go to furnacehills.com and you can get 25% off your entire order with the discount code 1MC Westminster, all one word. What is 1 Million Cups? Well, 1 Million Cups is a mission. It's a mission to lower the barrier of access for entrepreneurs in the community to get them connected to resources and other entrepreneurs. We have these sort of pillars and core program that mission does not get accomplished without. And they are that this is all about presentations, not pitches, about connecting and not networking. Culture, it's for the community, by the community. Nobody owns 1MC, no one's paid to do 1MC, and it's radically and intentionally inclusive. We meet every week, Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and we have 2 presenters whenever possible, sometimes 1 presenter, sometimes we just meet as a community and provide shout outs and updates. Usually presenters have to be less than 5 years old, but this can be variable if they've got a new initiative or a new project that they're launching. And then we always end with the question, what can our community do to help you? Here's our organizing team, myself, Graham Dodge from Magic, who's our community sponsor for all this, the Mid-Atlantic Gigabit Innovation Collaboratory. We have Russ Hammett, Val Giovignoni from Ting, John Wheatman, Tina Thomas from Infinite Love Project, Julia Snap from Dirigible Systems, and Gabby Rose also from Magic. And with that, we will go ahead and kick off with our first presenter this morning, which will be Tables and Towers. So let me, just give me a second to set up the presentation for that. 1 second. All right. All right. Okay, so Travis, I've got yours set up on this screen here with your notes. And then over here, we'll do the full screen. That's not. Here you go.
All right. I guess everybody can see me yet. Hello, I'm on interwebs, Tables and Towers. I guess we'll just jump right into it. Tables and Towers is, before Tables and Towers, I'm sorry.
There you go. All right.
Oh, all right. Does it look fine?
Yep. So the notes large enough?
Yeah. All right. So before Tables and Towers, the space was called Battleground Lounge. We were focused on console gaming. We did a lot of tournaments and things for trying to build certain teams around games so that they could do versus each other. But before that, the pandemic had hit, and the owners just didn't want to go any further with that. And my business partner had a passion for another game that drew him into the space. So we rebranded the store and geared it towards tabletop gaming. Oh, that is not good. I'm sorry, did you just take that bag outside? I thought I turned it off. I'm so sorry. So, either way, it was based on console gaming, so we just kind of rebranded and focused towards PC, focused towards tabletop gaming. You could just toss that bag right outside. Like, throw it outside. I'm being dead serious, like, throw it outside.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll go
Um,
what you got here. I'll go.
We're a tabletop gaming hobby store that focuses on very popular games such as Warhammer, Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is a trading card game, Magic the Gathering, which is also a trading card game, and Dungeons and Dragons, which is an immersion kind of live-action role-playing game. We have in our store a large play space, extremely large, apparently one of the largest in the state of Maryland, 13,000 square feet. We have over 40 tables that are in our hand-built tables that I built myself for anybody to kind of use and come in and play whatever game they want on. We encourage anybody that's all stages, all games, all levels of play, and have just the space available. We work hard to make sure that the product that we have is ready for customers to get, pre-releases, new items that come out. And you can order online, you can special order through us, or you could just come and shop on the shelves. Events are probably some of the largest things that we do there, as that draws just larger communities to come together and play. We've only been open 6 months right now, but we are growing every single week with our calendars. People coming in and saying, hey, I want to try out this new homegrown game that I have, or I want to get more people to come and play the game that I love. So how can we do that for them, and how can they help us get more people into our store? We do feature, like I said, the board game nights demos, learn to plays, and we have already had 2 of the largest tournaments in the state of Maryland for Yu-Gi-Oh! And for Warhammer, and hopefully Magic the Gathering. We do host private parties. Right now are a little bit smaller than normal because of people just not really wanting to come out just yet, but we are looking to get larger parties, and I've had some really good fun with throwing birthday parties for people. I mean, that's just my girlfriend actually did that room up for her friend, and that's just, yeah, and it's limitless, whatever you want to do in the room that we have. This is a concept, but it's going to look very, very similar to what I'm building right now. It's for Dungeons and Dragons. It's all about immersions, kind of like that Ren Fair Tavern, so that people can really be in the world that they want to be in and storytell. And this is a really good neutral area to do that in, instead of having anything kind of themed with things on the wall. It really kind of brings you in to make you feel like you're somewhere completely different. And I'm really looking forward to having that finished. Our partnerships are with Wizards of the Coast, which help with the Dungeons and Dragons, and then also for Magic the Gathering. And our other is Konami Official Tournament Store. And these 2 labels are very important to a hobby store, as they give you free promo. They give you items that you can't get anywhere else other than through a local gaming store. These are very, very important to me, and we just got our label for being a part of the WPN, so very, very happy about that. And how can you help? Would be basically spreading the word, letting anybody know that we're here, and if you're interested in hosting any kind of game, or just want to come check out the store, because a lot of people just like to come and check it out. We are looking for community advocates that want to help take lead on specific games or a game that they're looking for. And any kind of social media promotion, anybody who just wants to share our page or share events that we have, that'd be the best way to help us out. So thank you very much, I appreciate it.
All right, stay up there. Let's go to questions here from the community. Anyone here in the room have any questions for Travis? Rick?
Yeah, I guess, stepping back, when you say Dungeons and Dragons, brings me back to many, many years ago, but can you kind of give us an overview of the games? I mean, I know you went fast.
Sure.
Just an example of how it works in today's world.
So, specifically, let's say Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, because it was a board game. So now is it interactive with, basically the web, or is it still the same Dungeons and Dragons?
It's basically the same concept, but they've incorporated many different ways to still play the game. So there's digital boards now, instead of having a physical board on a table or even just a made-up board. You have these digital interactive boards. A lot of people have taken TVs and put them into a table so that they can have this interaction and immersion through just the map there in itself. And they also have gone and been able to use Discord, so where you could have people all over the world play with you instead of just having to be local here. So that's a really good way that it's kind of stepped up from what it's been from the 80s or 70s to what it is now. Yeah.
80s.
Yeah, 80s.
Anyway, one other question.
Yes.
From a marketing standpoint, it seems like you can draw people from, day events to come out to your place, right? It's not just Westminster, but what's your region? What's your marketing area?
It would be Philadelphia, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., kind of that tri-state mid-Atlantic area as well. There's a huge mid-Atlantic Adventures League for Dungeons & Dragons, and Adventures League is another kind of spin on how you play Dungeons & Dragons. But we are welcoming that with an event, a 2-day event, to kind of just get everybody to come out and just play Dungeons & Dragons. But that's the area that we really want to focus on because it's pretty large.
Makes sense.
It's already a core group there as well. Just gonna grow.
So do those people have to, like from Philly and DC, do they have to come to the Westminster location?
For that one event, yes. But if people still wanted to use that Discord value, you have a group here, someone else could still be on a computer playing, but the local friends could still be in the store, but have other people that are playing with them through their regular means that they have been doing for the past year or longer.
Right. So it's like in auctions, you have the absentee bidder who's like on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody, you have 3 other people here, but
Right.
there's 5 people here in person, and still same concept. They can all still play. I mean, they were playing all together through Discord this entire year and a half, almost anyway. So
Wow. Right.
It's just that some of them happen to be able to now get physically together.
physically together again. Yeah, exactly.
And we have some questions on the Facebook, but we've got some other questions in the room here first. Stephanie, you want to get a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of know how it works. Like, if I wanted to walk in and learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons, do I like pay for like amount of time that I'm there, or is it just like you make your money off of selling the dice and the cards and all that stuff? Or
So I'll answer the question in twofold too. You said to learn Dungeons and Dragons. That is something where we are just 6 months old, and it is just me. I do need to find this community advocates where it would be someone that would kind of be an in-house dungeon master, so that we could call upon someone. Hey, look, somebody wants to bring in a group next week. Did you want to give them a dungeon master lesson or how to play or be their dungeon master to teach them how to play? But the core and how it would work would, yes, you would be in that immersion room. You would come in. I think we kind of settled on like $15 to $20 for 5 hours for a group of people. Very, very low bar. I'm not trying to break the bank on anybody because this is a free game. People do this, have been doing it since the 70s in their corridors, wherever, all for free. So that's why the immersion room is kind of more important for me to help generate something for that store, instead of just kind of giving it all for free, my hard work.
Yeah.
And it's going to look good too, so
Let's go.
it'll be premium anyway.
Nice.
It's going to look just like that, I can guarantee you. Yeah, it already does. But yeah, hopefully we get the community advocates to be the in-house kind of person and teach other people how to play. And then of course the model is just coming in and renting the space, the table.
We have a question from Scott Singleton from the Business Employment Resource Center here online. He wants to know what social media platforms you're using to target customers and who is your target customer. You already mentioned Discord. Is that?
Discord is more of a community place where people go instead of too much of an advertising. Unless you have a big Discord, then you would be reaching out to a lot of people. We do have a Discord. We also use Instagram, Facebook, which is big for us, Twitter, and the website, but those are really mainly the social media outlets. We haven't really gotten into the TikTok or anything like that. We did do that with Battle. I did do that with Battleground, which was a little bit more successful, but it was just because there was more things going on with that outlet, if I should say, social media.
Did you rebrand the Battleground accounts, or did you just start all?
I did rebrand the Battleground accounts. That was more so kind of my portfolio that I did, so I didn't want to start all over. And I asked the owners, I said, look, can I just switch the names over? So that was really nice to have a platform already to talk to people, having 3,000 people already that we accumulated with Battleground, and just transition that over. It was really worked out really well. But all the social medias that we're trying to do is mainly Facebook and Instagram's always a really good one for that because it's really quick to have the videos and it's really easy to post on there for the pictures. Another question?
The other part of the question was who your target customer is.
Target customers. Target customers would be really literally everybody. Everybody. I mean, I've come to realize that it really is no level of play, and that's really good because it goes off of with video games as well. There really is no. That's when it was Battleground. You always had parents say, "I don't want my 13-year-old playing against this 25-year-old." They're going to play with each other online anyway, and that's just what it is. Like there is no yes skill levels and things like that, but you will have someone that's younger do something better than somebody that's more of a veteran in the game, if you will. It's just what it is. But in the realm of everything, yeah, you do have your kids' games, you do have your adult games, of course. But in the realm of it and teaching, it's open for everybody.
Any other questions here in the room?
I was wondering if you've thought about or maybe have experience doing any kind of like streaming, because I know like there's a lot of role play like podcasts and streams that are really popular these days. Have you guys thought about marketing that way?
Definitely. I personally have done about 7 years as a hobby streaming production, and over the pandemic, I did really heavy with doing virtual birthday parties and hosting virtual tournaments. And I would love to implement that into my store. For one, computers are really hard to get. I can't be taking all of my computers off of my wall and bringing them in constantly. So yeah, the computers are really hard to get. But yes, I mean, I would love to have cameras. I would love to have our own little Critical Role, which is a hugely, immensely popular D&D group, company, I think, that kind of re-kicked Dungeons and Dragons back up to not be so nerdy, to bring it into more mainstream. So yeah, we could definitely do something like that as well. Just a matter of how we want to implement it, you know. But yeah, that streaming is. I would love to have streaming going on in my store all the time, 100%. Especially for our large events, which is what we do. But yeah, something constant, you know, something very constant. That would be great.
Any other questions?
Nice job.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Travis.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's get set up for our next presenter. I just want to do a quick tease here because I don't think people really appreciate exactly what they're missing. Can they see this, Gab? You see all the sugar and the cinnamon and stuff, and I know some of you probably are avoiding those things, but you know, this is what you're missing by not coming out here today. So we're going to get set for our next presenter.
Demonstrated bite.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
And the goodness of it all.
This is Genie Bird. I don't know what you call it. It's some sort of cinnamon swirly thing.
Butterhorn.
Stephanie, what is this?
Butterhorn.
A butterhorn.
Butterhorn. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Let me gather my windows here real quick. Go back to mirroring. All right. All right, so as we get ready for our next presenter, that looks good. Again, just thank you to our sponsors, Furnace Hills Coffee, Genie Bird Baking Company, Magic, my organization. Couldn't do this without any of you guys, and Startup Portal, of course, for hosting us here. Rick, do you want to say anything about any other services that you guys have coming up? Like, are you ready to make any announcements yet?
We'll wait.
You're gonna wait. All right. There's some things happening with Startup Portal, so you know, keep coming to these meetings, and you'll get to hear more about that. All right. So up next, we have Eric Holliker from SafePoint. Eric, take it away.
Hey everybody, so I'm here today to talk about SafePoint. We're a hybrid video game store and arcade currently located in Union Bridge. So what is SafePoint? On the surface, we're a video game store and an arcade. We provide pinball machines to events. We repair all of that stuff I just talked about. We engage in gaming tournaments, and we try to educate people not only on everything that we do, but gaming culture and game production, believe it or not. So SavePoint started, Lord, when I started. So this is my dad. He owned a company in Baltimore manufacturing arcade games, and I like to tell people that my babysitter was a full-size Centipede arcade machine because it was. This is my lifelong friend Roger, and when we were about 10 years old, we would play video game store. We thought it was the coolest thing, and we had a bucket of tokens from my dad's shop. And we would exchange the tokens back for Genesis games, and we said one day we were going to open a game store. Fast forward, oh my gosh, about 10 years, so around 2009, I had some machines that were on a profit split at the town mall of Westminster here, and the mall approached me and said, hey, we want to open a LAN center. Don't really know what that is, but we want one. And I was like, oh, okay. So we created SavePoint. And as you can see, we had our 8 stations set up and some IKEA chairs. And when I talked to the mall about it, I said, look, I can't find an instance of one of these LAN centers surviving for more than a year. And this was back in 2011. So I said, we're happy to do it, but we want to incorporate a game store that takes advantage of all the things that GameStop does not focus on anymore, and an arcade, because, again, very passionate about all that. So when we started, it was, just, it was the LAN center and a small video game collection from us, but you can see our budget here was, a folding table, a literal, box cut up into a bargain bin. But the video game retail store did so well that we were able to expand into a much larger space, which gave us the ability to really focus on the arcade end a lot more as well. So the game store grew and grew until we were able to really start ramping up taking games to events. This is where things got super fun. Other than this liftgate trouble that we had, this is the best picture I can find of us loading games. But we were going to events all over the country. This is the first year for Super Smash Con in Chantilly, Virginia. It's another one from Chantilly, Virginia. And we became incredibly passionate about doing this because people had a chance to come out to these events and play these games that they normally wouldn't be able to. There's another one. Yeah, that's a lot of our rare Japanese stuff at an event called SGDQ in Minneapolis. And that is an event we did in Los Angeles at the Staples Center. This is MagFest. This happens in National Harbor, and they have the amount of space to really bring out some of the really rare, crazy Japanese stuff and a lot of our really cool pinballs. And we, we did a mobile setup at the store as well. So with SavePoint becoming successful, we were able to take some of those funds and put them into something else that I was incredibly passionate about. My dad, designing arcade games, that's always something I wanted to follow in his footsteps. These are both games that I co-produced, and we were able to not only use funds from SavePoint. So you'd buy a Nintendo game, you didn't realize that you were actually helping fund the release of an arcade game. But we were also able to use SavePoint as a test bed, not only at the store to get direct player feedback before the games came out, but again, taking them to events, getting direct player feedback from people all over the country. Tournaments. This was the, believe it or not, there are pinball tournaments. They're very big. So this was states for 2017. It's the IFPA State Championship. So there's some of the pins we had, and there's the trophy that was given away that day. Education, as far as education goes, this is part of Super Smash Con I mentioned earlier. We set up a pop-up Nintendo museum, went over the whole history of Nintendo, starting all the way down there with the Game Boy and the Famicom stuff that only really made it to Japan, to the Nintendo Switch. And here's, you can see Steph back there by the pinballs, but this was basically the final form of SavePoint in 2017. We had super outgrown the mall location, and this is just the game store section. The arcade went back. It was so cool. It was really the coolest place, but the mall was kind of limiting. And at the time, even though spaces like PAXon and Deb, where Battlegrounds wound up moving into, while they were empty, the mall was reluctant to have us expand. So we took our efforts elsewhere and decided it was time for the arcade side of the business to branch off into its own thing and really focus on that educational aspect, keep the game store separate, because at the time we were doing way too much. People were like, wait, you're a what? You do what? So that's when we came up with the concept for Arcadeology in 2017. We thought we found a pretty good home in downtown Westminster in the old fire hall, but unfortunately due to some landlord disputes, we had to pull the plug on it, which resulted in the mall store closing as well. fast forward to the pandemic, and we wound up in this building, which, you would have told me 5 years ago, I would have not believed you. But we were still, we lost a lot of our passion to run the game store. We were telling people, like, yeah, when we find the right location, we'll reopen. But we continued to refurbish arcades and pinballs and take them to events. Now, of course, events were dead during the pandemic, but we were waiting for it to be over, and we were trying to get into a shop. So we picked up this building to refurbish arcades and pinballs and start running our own shop. And as we started unpacking the video game store stuff, we realized, oh no, we have a game store. We still have a game store. It didn't go anywhere. So we went from unpacking to building shelves for the games, and before we know it, we had a game store. And we went from, okay, it's going to be a pinball shop, to, all right, I guess we're going to sell stuff online to people through the pandemic. And fast forward another 6 months, we're opening the doors in Union Bridge, and this is our dedicated team of 5. And this was May 28th of this year. We actually opened, and it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty cool thing. All the arcades here, we're doing something different this time. So at the old store, you used to pay a flat fee to come back and play the arcades. So it'd be like $10, gets you in for the day, you get a pass, you can come and go as you please. These are all free. Everything is completely free. We're asking for donations, and it's been great. And we basically took some of the rarest stuff out of our collection. A lot of these games that you're looking at are the only examples you can find public in the country. Definitely the only ones you can find for free. There's another view of the storefront. And we've even got a 57 Seabird filled with some really cool tunes, also on free play. So just anything we can do to get people out to Union Bridge. And that's about all I've got.
Very nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. All right, so Q&A. Anyone have here questions for Eric for Save Point?
Shazam.
I have a question about the donation. I've been out to the location a couple times. It's very cool. It's the coolest spot in Union Bridge, definitely. Carroll County, it's competing with Tables and Towers, of course.
Oh, I don't think so.
As being the coolest spot.
Oh, okay.
Not,
All right,
not
maybe.
in terms of the game.
What about
side.
Startup World?
Right. Right. Yeah, I know this is a slippery slope. Me trying to say
Yeah, I mean, there's free coffee here.
But but the donation side, you had commented that you're doing better, that the games themselves are generating more revenue with the donation model than they ever were with like the per game, coin model. Is that
So
tell us more about
that is true. Yeah. So the arcade community is a very awesome force, and I guess we have a strong following still in the arcade scene. I think partly because of my involvement with games, but people remembered what we were about and how passionate we were about these games. So that has followed us, even though that we haven't had a physical location for a few years. So when we announced, hey, we're doing this thing, it was very strange. I guess there was an arcade in Hanover that did not make it through the pandemic. There's a place in Frederick called Spinners. They've got a lot of pinballs, but they lack the variety that we have with the fighting machines, the Japanese machines, the classics. So it's a cool thing for people to do, and I figure, well, it's free. It'll bring people out to Union Bridge because, I mean, honestly, what are people coming out to Union Bridge for? Sorry, Union Bridge, you're great. But, I'm hopeful that, I'm not hopeful, I'm seeing it. Between the brewery that we've got in Union Bridge and the cool restaurants we've got there, and now Save Point, that people can now make a day out of going out there and, taking their time checking stuff out. But we're getting people coming out from DC, from Lancaster, from York. Where else have people come from, Steph? Arlington, a couple of them. And dropping way too much in the donation bucket because they're seeing what we have to offer, but not just that. It's we're going to be expanding into the back section. So there was a photo I showed you, and like the walls were all racked up, and like the place needs work. We were able to section off a small part, probably the size of this room, off to where we can open this to the public, but if we get donations, we'll just keep expanding the free arcade. So it's working pretty well.
And so what's the psychology behind people donating more than they would normally be paying to play the games, do you think? Like what's driving that?
I think think people are happy to see specifically, that variety of game.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, and it's partly the nostalgia. But
It's the whole experience.
yeah, right. It is. Yeah,
You want to
and-
support it.
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, questions.
Rick, I got a couple questions. First of all, and you beat me to it a little bit, but so I can plan, how far are you from the brewery?
We're within walking distance. I would say 2 minutes if you're a slow walker.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, right down Main Street.
Yeah,
Are
so
you
just
near
right up the hill.
Butterbird?
3 doors down from Buttersburg. Yep,
Okay.
right there.
So there's another eating place called the Buttersburg Inn that has fantastic food. It's been there a long
So
time.
that's it. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's a nice afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
I had the experience. And
Yeah, and we're actually we're looking into. I want to hold off until we do the expansion, just because right now it's like 50% game store, 50% arcade. But once we expand and make it 80% arcade, 20% game store, I want to start doing BYOB, and then having some collaborative effort with the brewery where, hey, if you come in with a growler or a crowler from Flood Zone, we'll give you 10% off a video game purchase or something. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, and sorry.
Well, my other question was, as you get back to doing the events around the country, what does your inventory look like? I mean, as far as your overall, and where do you
Yeah.
keep it? I mean,
So and this is another thing that I think some people get. So when you buy video games through us, that money, so the retail store is what really is able to make the arcades thrive. And then obviously the rentals, when we get back into that, the events will pay a flat fee to have us come out. But since we haven't had a physical location, a lot of our arcades have started to poop. Just like monitors dying, boards dying, power supplies dying, and those replacement parts and the time, it adds up so quick. So we probably have an inventory of between 100 and 120 machines, including arcades and pins, but as far as working stuff, we're only 50% of the way there.
I think you already answered this, but Scott Singleton from Burke is asking, have you done any partner promotions with other businesses in Union Bridge yet? Like your idea with the Flood Zone?
Yeah, we've got some ideas. I want to work with Originals Pizza in, again, having some kind of like, oh, well, hey, shop here and get 5% off, just some kind of kickback. But, in a small town like Union Bridge, I believe that every business owner really has to work together and think outside the box to get people in that town. And, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I love it enough to where we opened the shop there.
That's cool.
And Kim Samuelson, who's on Magic's team, she wants to know, do you have plans for any tournament days or special events coming up?
Yes, and between COVID restrictions easing and the amount of space that we have in the store right now, which is not much, we have to pump the brakes on that. But once we do this expansion, yes, absolutely.
What's your target date?
My optimistic, Eric is too excited for this date, is end of August.
Okay.
But yeah, it really all depends on how many donations we can get and what that's looking like.
Do you sell any, in terms of the donations, is there a possibility to solicit donations for a period of time to say, hey, for this, or do you suggest any amounts? Like you say, hey, for this is at this level of donation, we would love to have you here every day.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
a
really,
year.
seriously.
Have you thought about
I thought
packaging them up like that?
Yeah, I've thought about a few different things, and it's tough trying to do so much in one spot. But something that I was toying with was maybe doing a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe and saying hey, if you donate this amount, we're gonna write your name on the wall. And I've seen a few places do that, and I think it's really cool, especially with a place like Save Point where it's very community driven. But other than that, no, I haven't really thought about it.
We have sort of a partnership with Vortex Arcade in Arkansas, where they've donated machines that they don't have room for, and we're making little plaques that say thank you to Vortex Arcade and anyone who's donated that kind of machines or help get a little plaque.
Or
Yes.
those bricks and sidewalks
Yeah.
and promenades, you put people's
Yeah,
names
that
on.
would
You
be
could
really
put
cool.
floor tiles in front of special
Yeah, I love it.
games
Yeah,
people
that's
like.
really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a
and then there was a
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
lady in
Hollywood
Vegas
stuff.
that ran an arcade. She gave us that big crazy mech game that's in the back, and I'm pretty sure that's the only one in the country. And she knows it, but that's another one that's going to have a plaque on it just dedicated to her arcade. It's cool stuff. Like the community really pulls through.
What is that the game that has the turntables?
No, that's Beatmania.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's one I drove out to. Where did I drive out to? Nevada. I drove out
I've
to
never
Nevada.
seen that game like that.
Oh, it's ridiculous. So it's super Japanese. It's Konami's second longest running series next to Metal Gear Solid. People just don't know it exists because it's only been released in Japan up until about 2 years ago. So you've got like Dave and Buster's, and you've got Main Event. So those are your like American chain places. There's a Japanese one that started opening up in California and has since started opening up actually locally. And I used to talk about this a couple of years ago, and people would be like, okay, what is round one? Cool, Japanese bowling, whatever. But there's one in Towson. There's one in Towson Town Center now. So you go in there and you see these claw machines that have these giant claws, and they say, no, don't pick up the thing with the claw. Push it with the edge of the claw. That's how you win your prize. But there's a whole section that has all of the Japanese music games. And ever since they've come to the States, Konami started to sort of localize the games. So now you go up to the game, you put your money in, and it gives you the option to have some of the text in Japanese or in English. So it's slowly making its way to being a more Americanized game.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick.
I guess, listening to you, what I'm hearing is kind of beyond your store,
Yes.
right? You have this expertise.
Yes.
So even that, I mean, whether you do the social media, have you thought about doing the social media, and even like from a donation standpoint, Venmo? And I see it on the back of cars saying so-and-so got married, but you're giving,
Yeah.
I've not sent it yet, but, you have this expertise that people are like, that's fascinating, especially when you bring up the Japanese, because most of us don't have that education. So,
Right.
So have you thought about the social media element?
Yeah, a little bit, and that's it's one of the things I was going to get into is one of the ideas of this gathering with 1 million cups is, well, how can we help? And obviously donations. If you guys think it's cool, please tell people, because it's hard to reach out to people in Union Bridge. There's a lot of people that have been like, wow, yeah, I remember Save Point, but I've never been to Union Bridge. I'm like, come on. But donations, biggest thing. Word of mouth is super huge, because when we closed our retail store, I opted to just shut down our old Facebook account, which unfortunately means all the followers are going too, because it was confusing for people, because at that point we had tried to move and people were like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? And it was like, no, okay, we're going to just reboot, take it from there. But again, we lost all that following, so we could use a hand having a social media push.
Do you still have mailing lists at all from like customers?
No.
No? Okay. All right.
So, everything that's
Yeah,
happened
starting
so
over.
far has been totally natural, and I love it. But there's a lot of people that I think every other day I hear somebody say, "Oh crap, you guys are open again! I'm coming down," and it's great.
Rick, do they have to be worried about tax implications with the donations if they're not a nonprofit?
If they're not a nonprofit, I mean, it's revenue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's income. I'm sure you have
Yeah.
expenses to cover.
Yes.
Also,
Oh yes.
So, yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about that as.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get the money rolling in.
Right.
It's okay if we only get 80% of it. We still get money. We can still get money coming in.
Yeah.
And I was curious. It sounds when you were talking, you were saying that there's like an East Coast, like this is a genre of people on the East Coast who all connect, and they don't care about driving an hour or two to connect because this is their thing. This is their gig. I'm thinking there's probably something similar, in the way that your eyes light up, the way you talk about your machines, and that is so cool. That there's got to be, within a 2 mile radius, 2 hour radius, something similar.
Right.
And just the question is, have you tapped into it? I know you hadn't mentioned Reddit, but you mentioned something else that you were using.
Discord?
Discord, which is kind of a Reddit similar, correct?
It's a community. It's more
Yeah. Imagine like
Slack. Okay.
Slack.
So I'm just wondering, can you tap into those and then try to find people in the geography of within 2 hours?
Yeah. Potentially. That's another thing. Like I would rather it happen naturally. Like I'd rather one of those people that's already in that community be like, holy crap, guys, I found these machines and they're on free play and they're here. We just have to drive a little more for it. And I think
you've got 5 people working with you. You guys can be your own cheerleaders initially.
That's true.
Start the fire.
You do have a good point. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, be your own cheerleaders. Go for it.
But that's also like with a lot of the events that we do, because we travel and we do a lot of East Coast events. So people
Okay.
learn about the games and they're like, oh, you're in Maryland? I'm in Virginia. I'll come up one weekend and stay the whole day and play Beat Mania or whatever. And we've had people do that. We've had people come out and play DDR for an entire day just because they're like, I don't know where else I can do this. It's awesome.
Yeah, can I make one more point?
Yeah.
I hear you, what you're saying, and it feels good.
Yeah.
But you have to come to, what is your model, right? You have 5 people on payroll,
Right.
What is your model? And you have to focus and get there. That's my budget, because
Yeah.
I hear you, but there's so much that you have going on that
Exactly.
I think you focus on the store, which is great.
Yep.
But I think there's a lot more there for you that you can expand and generate revenue and really come up with a model, especially if you're traveling.
Mhm.
Right?
Yes.
So you have some expertise there that you really can hone in on that is beyond just Union Bridge, which is great.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you're there now, because I'm going to come find you when I go to the brewery, or I'm going to go to your place and then go to the brewery.
And then come back later.
Exactly. Until my wife tells me to get out of there.
Well, in Philadelphia, my half brother took me to a place up there that's like a bar and arcade.
Arcade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
arcade. That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Have you ever thought about serving
Yes.
any liquor license?
Yes, I would love to. It falls back into the, oh gosh, that's too much for that location.
Right, yeah.
There's actually there's it's arguably the most beautiful building in Union Bridge. It's the old bank, which can no longer be a bank. I want it very bad, and I could fill it very easily, very quick. One of the things I didn't go over is we wound up absorbing the coffee shop that was across the hall from Safe Point. It used to be called Mugshots. We still have all of that equipment. We ran it for about a year and then told them all, like, hey, half your store's left. We need you to cut the rent in half or else we have to close. And they said, nah, calling your bluff. So I closed.
Gotcha.
And the stuff's just been sitting in storage. So, and I'm a coffee fiend. I actually used to work with Furnace Hills, and we used to get stuff from them. And beautiful.
Do you have like espresso machines?
Yeah, I have like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, yes, it is a wonderful thing.
I would definitely.
Every day it's not set
start
up.
offering espresso with
Yeah, but
unless there's too much risk of pouring coffee on a game and
No.
destroying the game.
no.
Yeah.
So we could do coffee there, but
Yeah.
in the with the size of the building, it's very hard to do the arcade, the game store, coffee, and also taps. But I do want to. That's so. In a perfect world, yes. In a perfect world, we need more space, and that bank would be the arcade, drive-through coffee shop, and we would have beer available in the arcade. But that way, people would know, like, oh, cool, it's an arcade that you can drink at a barcade, and they serve coffee. And then the game store would be across the street. That would be it. So if all goes well, hopefully we can do that.
Kim from Magic is asking if you have a Discord channel for Safe Point yet.
Not yet, but
Okay.
literally when Travis was talking earlier, I was like, gosh, we should get on that. We should have a Discord.
All right.
So thank you, Kim. Travis, you're
It's kind of a double-edged sword because the whole entire principle from what I remember as a kid in the arcade is high scores.
Yes.
But in that double-edged sword, like I say, high scores lead to competitiveness, and that competitiveness, in my opinion, will lead to wear on your machine.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like, I want to say, so what about high scores? But I know what comes with that high score, competitiveness, they're going to beat the machines.
And that's yeah.
But what do you say? What do you say about that? Like,
Well, that's something that you have to expect and accept.
Yeah.
It's it's part of the culture, and like we want people to come in and have a few beers and play a game of pinball. 4 people playing pinball for a high score, and yeah, especially with pinballs, you've got a steel ball rolling around, beating the crap out of all these pieces of plastic. Like wear and tear happens quick, and if you don't know what you're doing and you don't stay on top of it, you're in for a world of trouble. And that's
so
why
what about starting events where you would have, because right now with what's the Twitch channels, speed games
Games Done Quick,
or just straight up like going to the base core of high scores and who can have it.
Yeah.
Have you thought about like trying to advertise, look, we have this high score, who wants to beat
who
it?
wants to come beat it? Yeah.
We have a rare game.
Yeah, there's
you
tons
could-
of rare games that I'm sure there's communities out there like Games Done Quick There's people that want to go for these high scores, but there isn't a real arcade machine with the real hardware within reach. That is a market that we haven't tapped into yet, and I really like that.
So I was only saying, like, I know what comes with that, and that's going to be wear and tear on the machine. But if you're expecting it, man, I'd say start popping out events.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will certainly start sending people down to your way.
Likewise.
For sure.
Yeah, we actually have had a few people come in and say, "Hey, have you thought about D&D here?" I'm like, "Where? Where could we do that?" So yeah.
Well, I'll be sending more.
Yeah, we have a
people
friend
down
who
your
does
way,
that.
for sure.
Exactly.
All right, well, excellent. Thank you very much, Eric. Great point. We actually have a few more minutes here. We can do some quick shout outs or updates if anybody wants. I know I can actually talk about GG Fest for a second,
Yes,
since we are on doing a gaming theme 1 million cups today. So, and Kim, I know you're watching, so thank you for leading the development on this. But this is the new website. It's ggfest.org for a gaming festival, tournament, and conference that we're planning here in Westminster at Town Mall, September 24th, 25th, and 26th. You go to ggfest.org. We can start to buy tickets, actually. I think tickets are actually on sale now. And we are looking for sponsors. We have Ting is already signed up to be a sponsor for this event. And there's plenty of room for more sponsors, for more vendors, people who do fan art. If you want to bring art out to this event and set up a table, we have room for you. And there's packages for all of that as well. And we have a special deal, I think, with Best Western. So if you're traveling from out of town, there's a special rate for the event at the Best Western here in Westminster. Anybody else have any updates or anything that they want to talk about real quick? If not, we'll just wrap it up. All right. Tina, do you want to wrap us up?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to GG Fest. This will be my first one. So thank you to Travis from Tables and Towers. I didn't want to get wrong. But and the gaming opportunities here in town are amazing. I'm so excited for friends that I know who do that. I had Dungeons and Dragons in a box once upon a time back in the 80s. I think I might have opened it twice. It just didn't gel for me, but I see people just completely, absorbed. Being in that room is going to be awesome that you're going to be putting together. So thank you for presenting and helping us understand that. And then, because I don't want to get it wrong, Stephanie and Eric at Save Point, thank you so much for telling us what's up there in Union Bridge. Putting packages together for day trips to Union Bridge for people, making it fun. That's excellent. I can't wait to remember the name of the one arcade game that I love to play. That it used to go around like this, and they say that it was really
Pac-Man?
Tempest.
Tempest.
Is the Lions?
Tempest.
Oh, Tempest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're working on rebuilding one right now.
Yes.
It's gonna be part of the expansion. Yeah.
All right. So you'll see me in Union Bridge working on my
There you
Tempest game. So that'll be fun. Thank you to our sponsors, Magic and Furnace Hills Coffee and GD Bird, of course, for the yummies. And then our host, Startup Portal. Thank you so much, Rick. It's our CFO. Awesome guy. If you need to know what you're doing with your business money, come see Rick. And next week's presenters are Julia Snap with Dirigible Systems, cloud computing stuff. And then Eric and with the Infinite Love Project with the Be Kind Site people. So we look forward to helping update everybody on what's been happening with our business and where we could use some help because, hey, hi, I'm Tina. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and that's why I joined 1 Million Cups. So we look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks
Have a
again.
great week.